Great. And record button's hit. All right, welcome everybody. This is Heather Riggs with the New England Museum Association. I want to welcome you today to our June lunch with NEMA with Jenn Little of Jenn Little Media, and we will be talking about social media tips and tools, especially during COVID. And my favorite word is pivot right now. So want to join everybody. And then if you guys want to type in the chat feature where you're actually viewing this from so we can see who's on the call, but make sure, because this is a webinar format, to make sure that the to is to all panelists and attendees. If you send it to us, then we get to see it, but if you want to send it to everybody else, make sure you hit all panelists and attendees. Today's session will be recorded and available on the NEMA website later on this afternoon. If you ever miss a NEMA webinar or lunch with NEMA, go ahead, check our NEMA website. You will find a link to our YouTube page, so you can always follow up with that. Also, if you have to leave a little early today or want to share this with your colleagues, feel free to do that too. We love sharing. We love hearing from you guys and stuff like that. So great, you guys are all doing that. So we will be actually interacting with each other. You can either use the chat or the Q&A box if you have questions for Jenn during the sessions and stuff like that. I know she has a lot to cover, so I will stop talking and turn it over to Jenn. And she also wanted to introduce John Rodman from the Newport Mansions. So Jenn, it's all you now.
Thank you so much, Heather. Really appreciate that. And very excited to be able to present the presentation social media tips and tools that I have for you. But first, I wanted to introduce somebody that I've worked with for 10 years who'll be able to give you a little bit of understanding of my role as a contractor with the Preservation Society of Newport County. And that person is John Rodman, who's the Director of Museum Experience with the Preservation Society. John?
Well, Jennifer, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Jenn's right. I am just now completing 20 years with the Preservation Society, but in the last 10, we've experienced some really phenomenal growth. In fact, over the last 4 years, we had 4 consecutive years of over 1 million admissions. And to achieve that kind of performance takes a truly, truly phenomenal team. But no one person on that team has contributed more to that than Jennifer. And so I point to that piece of information only as context because, like you all, we have had to pivot at the Preservation Society. And since March 15th, Jennifer and Bill Tavares, our communications manager, have posted 4 Facebook and Instagram posts a day, 7 days a week for the last 91 days. That body of work, I recommend to you, go ahead and check it out because you will see illustrated in that body of work every principle that Jennifer is going to talk about today. So it's a great way to visualize all of that. Besides social media, Jennifer has a couple of other superpowers worth talking about. Actually 3. The first is, as we used to say back where I come from, Jennifer is wicked smart. She's also an expert marksman when it comes to media buying and advertising. And she's also a pretty cool mom. But I digress. The topic is social media. Jennifer.
Well, thank you for that, John. I really appreciate that. And I'm excited to share with you all some of those superpowers. I just love that, John. Thank you. I have been with the Preservation Society for 10 years as a contractor. And we have been able to launch several social media platforms during that time. And to John's point, we have really had to pivot during this time called COVID. And so I will look forward to sharing with you those pieces of tips and tools and things that I've put into play during this really unique new normal time. But first, I want to give you a little bit of background about myself quickly. My background comes from television and network television. So I was an account executive for networks ABC, CBS, and Fox, both in New Hampshire and in Rhode Island. So I'm a New England girl, born and raised in New Hampshire, and then moved to Rhode Island about 20 years ago. And I knew early on that marketing was for me. I was very passionate at age 15 and knew that marketing and messaging was in my blood. When I graduated from high school, everyone thought that I would have my own talk show called Jenna's Agenda. And so messaging was something that was intuitive for a long time for me. And as I moved throughout my marketing career at the network television stations, and then digital marketing options became more readily available, I really started to gravitate towards that space. And it really made sense to me to start to learn more. I could see that's where the consumers were going to be headed. Boy, didn't I, if I knew then what I know now, but I had that gut instinct. So I started working, I hung out my shingle for my business, Jenn Little Media, in 2012. And I started working with clients like the Preservation Society of Newport County, United Way of Rhode Island, Edible Arrangements, and other brands, and helping them transition from traditional marketing into digital marketing. And so really when I started doing that, I realized that my sweet spot, I had the ability to help the directors of organizations and nonprofits in their marketing departments because of my life experience. I was lucky enough to live at a time where I lived through getting my information from the Sunday paper right through to utilizing Google for all of my data. And that being said, I help really be the translator between the directors, baby boomers of marketing departments, and the millennials or the managers that are implementing the new technology. And so it's been my pleasure to be able to be the interpreter for many really strong brands, nonprofits, and organizations in this space. So with that being said, I'd like to just say thank you again, and I want you to know that I looked at everybody's social media platforms that is on the call, whoever RSVP'd, just to get an understanding of exactly who my audience is. And so I really came to know about where your efforts are in your social media space going into this call. So let's take a look at the presentation, and I will move to the next slide here. Things have changed. March 15th have changed, and this was the one data slide that I wanted to share with you that really talks to specifically our world, the increased social media use by age. And so you can take a look, and this was a poll that was based on April of 2020 through Hootsuite. And you can see by age, starting from left to right, age 16 to 24-year-olds, their social media use increased by 58%. Wow. They were already on their social media devices a whole lot, and now they're increasing that by 58%. Move to the next age category bracket is 25 to 34-year-olds. They increased their social media time by 50%. 35 to 44-year-olds, 42%. 45 to 54-year-olds, 34%. And 55 to 64, 32%. And so that's not shocking information. We've all been stuck in our homes. We've been in quarantine. Life has changed as we know it. And we went to other places across the board from age 16 to age 64 to get our information, to get our data, to get entertainment, and to try to be social. So to John's point, what I did is I pulled up some data, some statistics. So we pivoted quickly with our output of social posts. We wanted to make sure we kept people entertained and engaged, and really one of the only forms we had was our social media platforms. And so this is data on the Preservation Society's Facebook page, where the increase this is January 1st of this year to March 15th. This was when we were in our regular strategy for social media, posting one post per day. And you can see on the far left, the reactions, so 10,000 reactions, 781 shares, and 709 comments. So that was our average stats during this time of year. This second slide to talk to that point was from March 15th to June 15th, where we quadrupled the amount of social media content. And so 4 posts per day, 7 days a week. And you can see the increased engagement is pretty steady. You can see that the reactions went to 37,000 versus 10,000. The shares increased to 2.8 from 781 shares. The comments increased to 2.2 thousand from 709 comments. So not only did we quadruple the amount of content that we were putting out there because the demand was there, we sustained that in terms of engagement. So we kept the posts not one-dimensional, but 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, where we were really setting up our tone of voice was that we're in it with you. We're in it with you, and we provided some great content that really talked to where people were at that time, because the value proposition had changed. So I'm going to go right here. The value proposition had changed. People were in a different space. We had to think as a marketing group, why are people visiting now? And now that things have changed from phase 1 to phase 2, and we're looking at phase 3 in Rhode Island, really every step of the way informing guests and visitors through social media is vital. It's so very important because they have questions, and the more questions that they have, the more obstacles that go up, and the unknown, when do we visit, when is it safe to visit? So really, your social media platforms have become as important as your website, because the different age demographics are looking up information more and more through social, as well as your website. So why are people visiting? They want to get out of the house, right? They want to experience beauty. They have a love for history and art. And really thinking about the reasons why, what is motivating somebody right now after everything we've been through in 2020? What's motivating them to come visit your facility or institution? How are you making people feel with your posts? So versus just showing maybe an artifact in your exhibition, or walking through your beautiful museums, sharing a piece of history, all of those things are great, and they're valuable, and they're really important. But what's really important during this time of uncertainty is to make sure you understand your goals in terms of how are you making people feel. Are they laughing? Do you want humor during this time, brevity? Do you want meaningful connections? Do you want to really express their love for art? What do they prefer to see? And really thinking about the post structurally in terms of how are you making people feel? And then the logistics, the considerations when people are traveling right now. Safety, price, food, lodging, all that's pretty self-evident. But again, don't overlook that piece in your social, right? They are valid questions that are happening on a regular basis daily right now. So those are valid posts to post in terms of having a category, which I like to call a bucket of posts that are just logistics. The who, what, why, when, where, how we're operating during COVID, check back in because things are subject to change on a moment's notice, and acknowledge that. It's very important to make sure you keep them informed during this time. And then of course the age shift, and we know what COVID has brought in terms of its effect on all the different age groups out there. So it's important to think about your voice in terms of who you are targeting with your information. And the information output, increase it. So all of these things are super important. More so now than ever, we have some added categories to the regular normal. So it's really helpful to be able to increase your posts if you can. And from the previous slides, you saw that really did increase engagement, which increased a sense of security with the brand. So that when things do bounce back, that they know where you've been and where you're going, and it makes them feel more comfortable if they're considering a visit or a donation. And then shareability. So making sure that when you do implement content, you are thinking in terms of marketing, how the footprint can grow with your social media content. So not a build it and they will come, but really having a special category of posts that you think of as shareable, because that is an organic way to increase your footprint, to expand your brand with your brand warriors that are your followers and your friends. So if you put up a really great quote with some sculpture, or you put up a question that's meaningful, or something that's funny that just really hits somebody that day, I call those shareability posts. And if you're having a hard time with getting that content together, then you can always go to user-generated content. And user-generated content is very valuable because it's like a TripAdvisor review, right? People love to share good experiences. And so when you have user-generated content and you share that, you give a shout out to the person who took the time out of their day to share their experience, and that really holds a lot of weight. Okay. So I'm going to go back to this slide here. So talking about posts, and we'll get to those tips in just in a few minutes, but talking about those posts and really the mindset of when you are posting during COVID and what you have to do differently. A lot of times marketers are focusing 90% on the post, and that's important. The post is important, no doubt. You need to be on brand, you need to be intentional, there's a call for action, or there's some marketing goal to be met with that post. And then most oftentimes, 10% of the resources and time are focused on the engagement. I call this the checkbox mentality, and let me explain to you a little bit further. The engagement is the sweet spot of growth. That is where you will build long-term relationships, and that your resources over the marathon, the long haul, will pay off. The post is the short game. The post is something to get done, to check, right, off your boxes of to-dos. So you have to get your posts, you need to plan the week, you need to plan the month, you need to plan the quarter, you need to get them all into Hootsuite or Later or whatever buffer that you use to schedule. Maybe it's right through Facebook Scheduler or Instagram. But you get those posts done. Oh, done. But really, right now, that needs to be changed in terms of the amount of effort and resources put into your social media. So I would recommend and suggest you think about this pie chart. You think about the post time to create and placement and schedule is 25%. So you can create your buckets, create your intentions, grab the images, the video, and get those posts together. Because again, remember, the reason why at 25% for a post is because only 1 to 3% of your total fan base or followership is actually going to be served up the post. We all know that. Everything changed in 2017, right? So why would we keep putting 90% of the effort towards a post that's only going to be seen by 1 to 3% of our fans and followers? It's a lot of effort for not a lot of return. So I would recommend allocating 25% of your resources towards the post. And then I would recommend allocating 37% of your resources, the red, into engagement. And what is engagement? Engagement is when somebody makes a comment on your post, you do more than a like. A like is okay, and that's a good start. But I would go further. I would go there and say, thank you so very much for your thoughts on our new virtual exhibition. Which part would you visit first if you could come here? Really start that conversation rolling, because the engagement is not only going to be beneficial to you in the future because you're building that loyalty that's already there, it's your warm circle, but you're also creating in Facebook and Instagram and the algorithm a preference so that now you are going to continue to be shown, that person will be shown your posts. And that makes your efforts and your resources towards that post go even further. So it's just smart business-wise to be able to take, if there's a like or a comment that goes unnoticed on your social media pages, I would just reconsider that strategy and spend less time agonizing about how many posts per day to your 1 to 3%, more time getting back to all the people that have taken time out of their busy lives to comment on your posts. And then you can see the algorithm shift drastically in the future. Another place I wanted to talk about is the call for action, the CTA, which is the 12% there. So we all have goals, we all have call for action. I'll talk about that in a few minutes and tips in terms of how do you place that call for action in your Instagram and your Facebook. And then stories. This is in Instagram and Facebook stories. They are the new TV networks of our world. They are areas that people don't even, it's passive media, really. So if they are on Instagram and they are on Facebook, you all know that they are serving up the stories to the people who have liked your post, part of the algorithm. And so they can just set it and forget it and the stories scroll. So it's an area that is the most popular area out there right now, and it's for free. So if you're looking to be able to connect and really grow your social media and continue that relationship in a real productive way, stories is really a place to be. So now we can get into some of the good stuff. These are some of the go-to tips and tools that I like to use because, again, creating all of this great content can be overwhelming and it can be really tough, especially if you don't have an in-house graphic artist and all of these different sizes and the different specs you have to consider. And it can be very challenging to be able to put together some content fast. And there's some really great apps out there that help with this process. One of the apps that I absolutely love and I use all the time is called Canva. And Canva is a graphic design tool that has two different versions. So there's a free version and then there's a pro version. I think the pro version is like $10 per month. And it allows you to be able to create graphics. And I'll show you in just a minute what that looks like. Another tool that I use is called Ripple. And Ripple is also a graphic artist tool. And what I liked about Ripple is one of the first, it came out before Canva. It was one of the first apps out there to be able to create great content, but it also had animation. So you could drop stills in a variety of different templates and have moving pictures, music, graphics. You could pick your colors, be on point with brand, CMYK, and be able to really create some fast graphics that looked really, really professional. So then another tool that will help you with time is called Plannable. And Plannable is a scheduling tool for anybody out there who uses Hootsuite or Later or other scheduling tools. Plannable was one of the first to be able to schedule Instagram stories on top of all the other social media platforms. And so they are fantastic. I sat down with the director at Plannable when I go to a social media conference in San Diego, which I just got through. March 3rd, I came back, which was a blessing. But Plannable is a great tool that will help you schedule those Instagram stories. So you don't have to waste time scheduling in real time. You can set that up and then put them into Plannable and they can go to work for you. And then Loom on-screen recording is a great app, and I'm going to show you how that can work for you. If you have an exhibition that you want to share, and right now during COVID you can't, you can take your iPhone, and walk through the museum through the app Loom, and you can actually talk as your audience is seeing what you see. And so it's an audio and video recorder. You can also help people, and how I would recommend using Loom, it's a free app as well, is that you can take Loom on your website. So if you are online, it's an app that works both on your PC, your Mac, your iPad, and your iPhone. You download Loom, and say you want to show people where they can get the most current information on COVID and your policies around COVID. Maybe you have an hours change. Your frequently asked questions, basically, and you can create these videos on your Mac or on your iPhone or on your iPad and talk as you're going through the website, helping people navigate through to understand the answers of their questions. And then you can take that quick video. Say you take a minute-long Loom video. You can take that video and you can save it to your phone or your computer, and you can put it into a post. So now you have a series of posts under the category bucket of frequently asked questions, but you've really taken the person to your website and you've walked them through where to go. And that's very helpful. Again, thinking about that visitor and really what they're going through right now, and helping them through your media, through your network, and being able to take down those obstacles to come visit. So Loom is a really great resource. And then utilizing, so closed captioning is super important on many levels, for accessibility, for one, and also because most people watch their social media videos without the audio on. So how do you get the closed captioning? What's one of the easiest routes? And YouTube there's many different apps that are out there. Some are, for example, rev.go is $1 per minute, and it takes about 24 hours to convert the video with closed captioning. But YouTube is a free resource, and you can actually plug in your video, click on the closed caption area. It will convert what you said in fields next to the left of your video. And then you can go in and edit for grammar and make sure that it reads the way you want it to read, because it's not 100% accurate. But it's a really easy, relatively easy process to be able to take care of the closed captioning and download the file, and then you can upload it to your social media platforms. So it's a really great tool to use. And then another app that I use is called Spacey. And Spacey is, so a lot of ways that we need to think now is to transition from our traditional media marketing tools into our modern digital media marketing tools. And some of those elements are transferable. For example, our print ads, we want them to look a certain way, right? And we want to make sure the font and the colors, and if it's bold, so that the message gets across clean and crisp and clear. And unfortunately on social media, we only have so many characters to be able to get our point across sometimes. And the caption area, which is in your post on Instagram, is limited to one text and one size and sentence by sentence. And so I like to use an app called Spacey to stand out. And Spacey is also free, and you can go right into the app, type in what you want for your post. You can space out the lines, double space, triple space. You can make big space areas between your hashtags. You can bold and italicize the words in the text. And then it saves to your clipboard on your phone. You go right into Instagram, you develop your post, you paste it in there, and it will show you the bold, the italicized. And that's just another way to stand out. It's another way to get your point across that a lot of people are not utilizing. So all these tips and tricks. Let's talk about the two that I mentioned at the beginning of the last slide. We'll talk about Canva. And so when I go to Canva, I want to go here. There's my 3 beautiful children. That's one of my superpowers that I'm most proud of. I have a high school graduate this year. And so we can go right in here. So the first app that I want to share with you is called Canva. And Canva is that blue and purple with a big C logo. And the reason why I like Canva so much is because they make it really simple and easy to be able to find the graphic size that you want, depending on which social media platform you're designing for. So you can see here, there's Instagram, Instagram story, Facebook post. There are graphics for Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube. You get the idea. And so you can pick any of those sizes and then start to design. If you don't see what you're looking for, there's a nice search area at the top. So let's just say we're doing an Instagram story. And here is the area that you can start to design. There's a blank area, so you can start from scratch, or you can browse all of the different templates that they have to offer. And again, this is for an Instagram story. And then here is where all your graphics are kept. And so you can go back, you can organize them by folders, and you can even snap video into any of these sizes so that you know that it will fit that particular social media platform. So Canva is really great to use, lots of different designs to play with, and my go-to for graphics. So that is Canva, and that's how that interface works on your phone. And then this one, we'll talk about Ripple. Okay, so the next app I'm going to go into is called Ripple. And Ripple is this blue and purple circular icon. It's another graphic design tool that I use for different platforms. And the reason why I like Ripple is because it provides a animation effect to the post that I'm trying to put up there. And so you can choose from a variety of templates, and you can go in and you can do Facebook or Instagram, but it moves the graphics versus Canva, which is still. This one has been utilizing animation for a while. Canva just introduced animation, so we'll see what happens there. But I really like Ripple. It's easy. It snaps to both Facebook and Instagram. You can kind of see what this looks like. and it shows the graphics with the logo. It's easy, fast, 5 minutes, and you have a great post. So that is one of the tools that I use. If I want animation, I go to Red Bull. So those are two of the tools that are in my phone that are go-tos for getting good content and being able to produce that type of content if that is something that you like to do. And also creates increased engagement as well. So wanted to move into just one slide talking specifically about Instagram. And again, the theme is how do you pivot during COVID? And resources have changed because of lack of general admissions for a lot of you. And because life, our new normal, has changed. There are areas on social that are for free, and they're great areas to be able to push out your message during this time. So just wanted to brush on Instagram being a real big opportunity in terms of the 4 neighborhoods that you can play in on Instagram. So the first one is the feed, and that's your evergreen area. So that's your standard post that you want to live and breathe on there for the long term. And we all know about the feed for the most part and that post that you put on there. The second area is stories, and we talked about stories and how important it is to play in that area because that's the area that's the passive media. That's where people that have liked anything that you have put up there will be served your story. And it's a nice way to increase engagement and to guarantee a broader reach. You're casting a bigger net. If you take some time, a little bit of your resources away from the almighty post and you apply it to your stories, then you're actually going to be getting more for your money and more for your resources because the algorithm in Instagram is going to serve up your stories to your fans and followers. And then they can go ahead and forward that information on their pages. And it's a great free resource that is the most popular area right now on Instagram. And so then there's IGTV, and IGTV is just really a wonderful space to be able to push out video. I saw a lot of great video from a lot of you on your IGTV accounts. And again, it's a free resource right now. And it's something that you can do from home with your iPhone or when you get back to your museums with good lighting and making sure your audio is good. And IGTV is a really great place to connect with people. And then going live, of course, whenever you go live, if you have somebody in your organization that's great on live video, I know that's a tall order, but if there is somebody, identify them and get them on live because all live media jumps the algorithm. And so you'll be putting your brand first. And so it's really a great area to think about and to jump and do more live videos. So I wanted to share with you, because Instagram is so popular and growing, is that you should know your character limits. And this was just interesting. It pertains to this category of business in particular with museums because I'm trying to generate valuable content right now. The captions area on Instagram, the limit is 2,200, which is a lot of letters. And so one of the things that I can help and I recommend to my clients is to take former blog posts and then repurpose them as an Instagram post. And that really does generate some great engagement because people really enjoy going deeper into knowing certain areas of your industry. And so you have a lot of characters in that space. So I would recommend taking a blog, repurposing it, and you can utilize that as a post on Instagram. And then hashtags in a post is 30. People are searching for you through hashtags. And so if you have 30 hashtags as your maximum amount per post, my recommendation would be to utilize all 30 spaces and to be able to generate a spreadsheet that has different versions of your buckets of hashtags. So that way there, depending on your goal and for that certain post, that you will be able to pick from your database, your hashtag bucket, and apply it. So it should be just something that you don't have to think about every single time. You just have set hashtag buckets with 30 each, and you will be able to apply them to the posts that match the goal that you're trying to achieve with that post. because again, people are searching by hashtag. And one other tip there is to go into Instagram sometime and search museums, and then really go into what they're using for hashtags. And then you can pull from their list and try it out and see what happens, and see if you have more traffic that's generated to your Instagram account. So really use hashtags quite a bit if you can. And then your bio is limited to 150 characters. And so it's pretty lean, and you have to be really smart. And one of the tips I wanted to leave with you today is that at the very top of your Instagram bio is your Instagram username, which is 30 characters. Right underneath that is a line. I used to have Chief Creative Thinker at that point. It would say Jenn Little Media, Chief Creative Thinker. I just thought I was giving myself a title, like I was on a television program and they were supering me, my title, my name and title. And really, that wasn't doing anything for me. There was no benefit there, because that space on Instagram is a space designated for SEO. And so Chief Creative Thinker really doesn't relate to social media solutions. And so I changed that area of my bio on my Instagram account to reflect social media solutions. So when people are searching, I will come up more when they are searching in that way. So I would just take a look at your Instagram bio and look at that top line and ask yourself, you know, if people were searching for this, you know, is this who I want to come to my site? Or can I get better at it? Can I fine tune this text in this language? Okay, so these are the big tips. These are tips that are really, really great to implement, that have created some great success for my clients. So the first one is, did you know that it takes 10,000 followers to be able to obtain a link in the story area of Instagram stories? A lot of you probably know that fact. So you need 10,000 followers to be able to get a link in your Instagram story. And your Instagram story is on your Instagram account in the upper left circle of your picture or your logo. You click on that and your story's there. When you're creating stories, you have the ability to put a link to your website through the story. That's why you see the swipe ups. But how do you get that link? Well, you first have to start with 10,000 followers. So what I did is I researched this and found a few companies. One that I've used quite a bit is called Fast Likes. And I bought the followers. And I know there's a lot of negative language around and feelings buying followers, but I didn't buy the followers to feel good or to feel like I wanted to impress people, right? Or the brands needed to impress people. It was a business decision. Buying the followers through Fast Likes was a business decision to be able to get the link. And the link in stories, if you're allocating time, the link in stories is your call for action. So a call to action through your Instagram stories. You have the link, you drive them to your website, wherever you want to drive them to. And that way there, you are now able to get them in. Maybe it's to collect emails, whatever it may be, a lead magnet, and it will help you leverage your Instagram account for business. So you first need to get 10,000 followers. That's hard to do organically. You can buy them just for the link, get your stories up and running, and then drive traffic to the places on your website that you want them to go. The next ninja tip is called Linktree. And Linktree is wonderful because we've all heard of the story, the language, link in our bio. So when you do an Instagram post and you want to drive people to a place on your website or a landing page somewhere, we all know we're limited to one link in our bio. Well, Linktree is a workaround. And what you can do is go to Linktree. They also have 2 levels of membership. There's a free service, which is what I use, and there's a pro service if you want to have many links. But you basically download Linktree for free or for the pro version, and you can put multiple links on a landing page. And then Linktree creates one URL, and then you can put that into your bio. So if it's learn about us, if it's to make a donation, to learn about how your policy, your COVID policy, upcoming exhibitions, you can create that one link in Linktree, but then direct people in all of your posts to your link in your bio. They'll be guided to that landing page and they'll be able to get there. And then the third ninja tip that I have put out there is about stickers. Again, stickers are in the Instagram story area, and you can actually pull a location sticker and put it on your story. And what does that do? Why would I want to do that? It's more work, but it's so fast and easy. Why would I want to do it? And it increases engagement by 78%. So it's one of those algorithm tricks. A lot of people overlook that piece, and they won't put the actual location sticker on the Instagram story post. When you do that, it alerts Instagram that you're within a certain area, and then it will serve up your story to people in that area. And you'll increase engagement by 78%. So that's really valuable. Say you have tourists coming into town and you're doing stories that day. It's, we're finally starting to think about that more and more. And if you're there and you're showing up on Instagram stories and you have your link to buy tickets in there because you bought your followers, your 10,000, and someone's in town and they're on Instagram, and they're going to be able to geo-track that person and serve them up your post because you put the location sticker in there. So it's just a real valuable tool that's underused. And the last JLM Ninja tip that I have to offer is an algorithm changer, so that when you are putting all of that, all those resources behind your post on Instagram and you have comments come in, this was one of the things that the reason why I put this tip on this slide is because after looking at a lot of accounts, I realized that this is a real opportunity for a lot of you to be able to go in to a comment or a like and say, thank you for liking this post or commenting on this post. Can you tell me why more, or why in the comments, why you liked it so much? Just come in with a statement. If they only liked the post, say this. If they liked the post with some detail, come back with a detailed reply as to why you enjoyed what they wrote. But really, this is the algorithm changer. This is where the energy should be, the effort and the resources, because it will increase your reach, it will increase your footprint, and then it will also increase your relationship with your followers and your fans. And lastly, I wanted to leave with you just some kind of big picture. We just talked about the tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff, but the big picture thought and the mindset overall right now with COVID and really with digital marketing strategies and shifting from the traditional ways of marketing, one-dimensional print advertising, and to the more non-traditional and the digital marketing strategies. And some of the things brands have to really get ahead of is to get outside of the comfort box and get beyond the checkbox mentality, not just get the post done, but make sure the post is there and it's good and intentional, but really engage. That's a shift. Use emotion. Think about the emotion you want to invoke. Keep trying until you hit the sweet spots. So there's no failing. I believe you just keep trying until the data will show you how you're succeeding in your sweet spots. Follow back the people you want to keep as followers. So influencers are really important now in the marketing mix. So really take a look at your top 10 followers who engage the most and reward them. Follow them back and understand what makes them tick, and give them freebies. Offer them to come visit when you have a new exhibition, or maybe send them a t-shirt, or thank them for being your loyal friends, fans, and followers. Search hashtags in your industry and use them. Be smart but fearless. So that means to start to get outside of your comfort zone. And I thought I would end with Tim Pierce, who I think represented a lot of these takeaways at the end of the day. And this is a platform we didn't talk about today, but I just loved how Tim used this platform during COVID. It's TikTok, and he had 23,000 views on this video.
I'm Tim Pierce here at Carnegie Museum of Natural History with another snail joke for you. Why do snails usually lose arguments? Because they don't have a leg to stand on.
So that is how I'll close out this session. I just loved how he got outside of the box and jumped right in there and did something different. And it's something that I think we all have to think about right now, as social media has really become one of the sources for information and engaging with your brands now more than ever.
I still love that TikTok. Sorry. I know I watched it like 3 times yesterday and I still have to like giggle about it. So
his account is growing. He has, if you like this one, he has a lot more.
Yeah, no, he was definitely one of those articles that popped up of like, you know, things that museums are doing, and him and, you know, hashtag the Cowboys. So it was like the two of them, you know, like have great content. We do have a few questions that came in.
Okay.
So you did mention the apps that you use. I think we're both on iPhones, but a quick search they just did, it sounds like some of the apps are available on Android, some of them are not, but they also have desktop versions. For that question came in through the chat. So I think that's definitely something that, you know, we all have our own apps for different programs. So there is that there. So I will just start with at the very beginning. So is there like a sweet spot for how many posts a week, a day, or does it depend upon your followers, the platform?
Right. And so what's really great about that question is that Facebook and Instagram have that area called highlights. Analytics. And analytics will provide you, the insights will provide to you when your fans are on the platform and when they're specifically looking at your page. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, so it's really great. So you can pull up your insights and then decide if it's Sunday night is a real popular time, Friday, say Friday morning going into the weekend, Sunday night going into the week. Pick your spots where you have the most followers, the most activity on your page, and then put, depending on your resources, right? How much time you can put into crafting your post. So I would say do one a day if it's possible. If that's not possible based on your resources, go into your insights area of your Facebook and Instagram accounts and choose the 2 or 3, what I like to call prime time. It goes back to my TV network days, your prime time areas, and post during that day and time.
Okay. And then I know I personally use Hootsuite for NEMA and stuff like that, but for Plannable, do you know if they allow multiple Instagram photos?
That's a great question. And the answer is yes, they allow carousel. So you can do that there.
Okay. So Nancy, SEO, that's going to be an entire different webinar that we could do. I will email you offline some links on that one. So, and then we do have, so one of your first graphics, you were talking about the age groups and stuff like that through the Hootsuite data. Is there do you know if they go above 64, or was that just the data that they were looking at was the age break on that one?
Yeah, that was just the data they were looking at, but I can find that answer out for you and I'll send it over to you, Heather.
Okay. So yep. Deborah, we will follow up on that one. Sometimes we have no idea why they don't do all age ranges, but exactly. You know, I know my granny was on, you know, social media, so she was one of those.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then thank you for liking this post strategy, do you direct message the person directly or tag them on a comment on the post itself?
That's fantastic. So I would start off with a reply to their comment. For the like strategy, yes, DM them, go right in there. And what's really nice about DM too, is you can say, we saw this, you liked this post, and it will directly show the person the post in the DM. Could you comment in can you make a comment in the comment section as to why? You can say that on the comment thread and tag them, or you can direct message them. Just really depends on your comfort zone. If they get back to you, then you can go one step further and you can do even a voicemail through the DM on the Instagram account to them. So you can say something like, if it's a question, for example, or you can come through their DM and say through an audio message, the answer. And that just really, if they use DM, a lot of people don't look at their DMs. It depends on a lot of factors. So I think that I would start off with going in the comments section, saying at so-and-so, using the at mentions, whatever their ID is, and answer their question, or just say, we noticed, or you could even do a grouping. You could say, if there's 3 people that liked your post, then you can do your own comment coming from the page and say, at so-and-so, at so-and-so, at so-and-so, thank you for liking this post. Can you tell us more? Why? And that might be a more clean-cut way. If they come back to you and they tell you, and now you're starting that conversation and they come back to you with a question, jump over to DM and say, we really appreciate that you ask a lot of questions. Thank you. And you can take it take it there at that point.
Good. I know for me personally, when I, go to a museum and I actually tag the museum where I'm at and stuff like that, and then they sit there and like my Instagram post, and I'm like, oh, I liked it. I don't know. I get a little thrill out of it, but it's always one of those like, sweet.
Okay. It does.
It's usually in the middle of the night, so I'm a little worried about their social media manager, but that's another thing. So for hashtags, you did mention it on Instagram, but I know, the hashtags do go across platforms like Twitter, Facebook. What do you think of hashtags for Facebook?
Yeah, so I think it's a great place to put hashtags as well. I would do 5 to 7 hashtags on Facebook because it's not really best practices or common practices to search by hashtag yet on Facebook. It's more of an Instagram and Twitter thing, but definitely if you have a goal to be able to drive traffic under a certain hashtag, or if you want to attract. So 2 reasons to use hashtag on Facebook: if you have a specific contest or specific, say a new exhibition, if there's something very specific that you want to be able to monitor later on the data to see on your insights on Facebook, if you had so many people that entered the contest through Facebook and that specific hashtag, that's a way to use it and a strategy, but not to go beyond 7 because people typically don't look for the hashtags on Facebook at this point in time.
And then back to those hashtags, are there any statistics on those about how people use them?
There are, and I can always get that to you. It's really like a Google now. So people are really going to Instagram, if that's their preferred social media platform, or Facebook, and they're looking up things. I mean, everything. Say you have something that goes wrong with your dishwasher and you need to do plumber tutorials. Honestly, people are now starting to look up things like the social media platforms are Google.
That's good. Yeah. Okay, so, and then we have one more. Can you explain what you mean by top of the line of the profile in Instagram?
I can. So let me, if I can pull up, I think you'll be able to see my Instagram account. I'll show you exactly where I mean. Okay. So you can see, if you can see, I'll try to line that up. Does that read okay, Heather?
I know what it is, so I know what I'm looking at.
Right, but it's hard. So I'm just gonna point. So your picture's right there. It's the line right underneath your photo. Or if it's your logo, it's that line right there. Yep, and that's where, if you want to check out my account, it's Jenn Little Media. So that's on Instagram at Jenn Little Media. And you can see the top line under my photo. That's the area I'm talking about.
Okay, that's good. And I know yesterday when we were doing our test run, this is something that's coming up with, just, we have trolls. We will freely admit there's trolls out there. How do you deal with people that might be going off on tangents, might not be exactly what the post was about? Do you interact with them, hide them, that type of thing?
Sure. So just basically, Facebook and Instagram address this in 2 different ways. So that's the first foundational thing to think about, is that Facebook, you cannot shut off comments. And so whatever you post, comments are open. It's like the Wild West. And then Instagram, you can shut off comments. So if you're on Facebook and you can't shut off comments and someone comes in with a negative thought or a negative comment, then you can hide the comment. That's one strategy, that you can just go in and hide it. If they come back again and call you out publicly on hiding the comment, that's when you have to consider blocking that person. And really that's your only options there for Facebook. You can also block on Instagram if somebody is direct messaging you or somebody is saying a lot of the trolls, bad comments a lot, then you can block that person. So the big answer too is that you can choose to block only comments on Instagram and not the person, in case that person has valuable things to say. You just don't like everything they say. You don't have to downright block them entirely on Instagram. You can just block that individual comment. On Facebook, you don't have that freedom. On Facebook, you have to put your post out there, make sure you look at your comments if you think anything could come up negative, and then hide the comment after it's already gone public. And then you can block the person if you want to. I hope that was clear.
Yeah, no, it's something that I think everybody that is on social media comes across. I mean, they exist, they're out there, and we have to deal with them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So you've covered a lot. So, okay, so yeah, someone just posted in the Q&A, we got some heated comments on a post recently on Facebook. We thought we deleted a racist comment, then deleted the post entirely. Thoughts? So in other words, basically, have you ever had to go in and just straight out delete the post all the way around?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, we've had to do that. And if it's that high level of negativity and socially wrong, then deleting the post is definitely an option. And I would highly recommend not to reply ever.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does anybody have any, we still have a few minutes left. We have Jen on the line. So now is the time to ask any of your questions. So Clara mentioned in the chat, we have what we call a troll patrol. Nice. Staff member who takes turns monitoring on weekends to keep an eye out for offensive posts. Yeah, that's definitely something that they never happen 9 to 5. I've noticed.
I love it. I love that. You know, I did have one more thought. If there's a pause in the questions right now, Heather, the one thought I had was just an analogy in terms of the whole engagement. I'll go back to that. Making sure you pay more attention to your engagement than you do your posts. Making sure you know that your posts are going to be great no matter what, and you're going to do everything right and best practices, and it's going to be an intentional message. But it's like if you were having a party and you cleaned your house and you got a new outfit and you catered it and everything is pristine and perfect and you're excited for this party and everyone's coming and you spent all your energy on the party and the planning. And then the next thing you know, everyone arrives at your front door and they're knocking on your door, and you run to the door and you open it up and take a sneak peek, and then you slam the door and ran away and you never threw the party. That's how I feel if you're not engaging with people who even casually like your post. That's a missed opportunity. They want to come to your party. And so take your game to the next level there. Thank them, ask them what they liked, and pull them in closer because they're already close to your brand.
Good. Wow. I know I learned a couple things. I'll be using the Loom app to explain some of our virtual conference coming up this November. So I'm looking forward to playing around with that this summer.
I love that.
Yeah, so I'm just like, okay, I'm going to do a tutorial. Maybe, people will watch that instead of reading my Q&A questions. So on that one, and Scarlett also posted that there. There is also on Facebook, social media for museums. It's a private Facebook group and stuff like that. So they have some interesting conversations and stuff. So if anybody does have like follow-up questions, Jen's definitely available. There's that Facebook group too. It has a lot of helpful information on it. So Jen, I want to say thank you again so much for sharing all of your knowledge and being open to moving your conference session proposal to an actual webinar, Lunch with NEMA instead. We do appreciate that. We felt like this was something that could not wait until November.
That's great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, definitely thank you for pivoting on that one. Scarlett did put the Facebook thing on there too on that one. And as I mentioned earlier, this session is being recorded and will be available on the NEMA website. If anybody ever has any suggestions for future Lunch with NEMA webinars, town halls, definitely contact the NEMA staff. We would be more than willing to pursue different avenues on that one or different suggestions. We are always open to them. So Jen, thank you again. Thank you everybody for joining us today on this lovely June day, and we hope to see you at a future one. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Heather. Thanks, everyone.